Yep.
Sound okay?
Yep.
Lighting look okay? How's the lighting look? It looks great on you guys. It's probably better. Yeah, I don't know. David Emmerich lit this thing. It certainly looks like one. I was supposed to be introduced, but whoever was supposed to introduce me didn't show up. In fact, I don't believe there are any instructors here, which is amazing, so we can talk about them freely. You can tell me how you feel about NYU and being in school in general. My name is Ted Churchill, and I am the legend you heard so much about. That's really a nice story. Thank you. Because being one of the few ways to really survive as a technician in film and have a good time is to make yourself a legend. If that means you have to spend $10,000 or $20,000 a year to do it, it's well worth the price. Because even though you may not work, everybody knows who you are, and let's face it, that's what's really important. So, on my way to doing stand-up comedy on television, I'm here. How is the sound? Is it okay? I have to check. The sound's always terrible.
Yeah, it's respectable.
I don't want to see any jerky moves on that. David made his little item, which I think is quite cute, which is a Steadicam operator, which is quite beautiful. He assures me that he's never given up his enthusiasm for Lego toys, which is clear, and which will probably just barely qualify him to be a director of photography. And I'm thinking about using this in an ad. I think this is very cool. Okay, so anyway, that's who I am, and I operate this hideous piece of machinery over here called Steadicam. Has anybody seen this thing actually in operation before? I mean, how many people, I should say, has anybody? Yeah, so it's about, talking about 15%. Let me get my 600-page outline. I did an outline for this talk, and the outline was 8 pages long. I did this on my computer last night. It was so appalling, the amount of information I actually could muster up to tell you, that I probably can't follow it. It's great, huh? That's computers are great. Anyway, so I probably won't follow it because there's too much information. But I've been in the film industry since 64, and I know I may look 23, but in fact I'm 42. And so okay, just checking my equipment. I thought about it. I do it all the time. I don't want to know about it because I'm getting paid, but I'm certainly willing to put it on and show you what it does because it is a very cool thing. Paper up to it. And it's one of the few categories that a technician can function in that truly has its own artistic flavor. And that's one of the reasons I do it. That plus it makes you the center of attention, which I love, which you've probably seen. So in any event, the Steadicam was invented in 78, hello, because my mic, was invented in 78, got Academy Award in 78 for design. It was invented by Garrett Brown, who's an enormously clever character. He also invented the Steadicam. He's also the fellow who writes and is the voice of the Molson's ads and American Express ads you hear on the radio, with the guy in the girl always banding me up, this or that. You heard them, they're quite clever. So he's done a lot of great things, and he wasn't an inventor. He didn't know anything about engineering, but he actually worked for an agency. He'd been a folk singer, and he decided that there had to be a better way to handle the camera, so he came up with this thing. Now, it didn't look like this when he came up with it. It was actually quite funny looking and very primitive. And but the design of it was so simple, but so revolutionary. It's so unique that he managed to get a very heavy patent on it, which has never been broken since, and probably will never be broken. And the result of all that is this machine, which is a Steadicam 3, which is the latest version of the Steadicam, of which there have actually been 4. All of them work essentially on the same principle. I've lost my vest. Somebody stole my vest. The operator wears this guy here, which usually looks in a little bit better shape than this, but I bang it up so that when I come on the set, people don't think I'm a neophyte. That's what that looks like. And attached to the vest is a spring arm, suspension support arm, which is this guy here, that has an articulated elbow just like a human elbow. It sits like so. Now this arm is so strong, the springs in this arm are so strong, it can hold up to about 75 pounds of camera, more than you really want to wear, which of course is one of the liabilities of this thing in the first place. But the genius of this machine is that they've managed to take what is essentially a 6-foot spring and condense it into 6 smaller springs, and will have the same tension here as here, roughly, which is a mechanical marvel, an engineering marvel. What this device does is it successfully, 1, floats the camera in space, and 2, isolates it from the camera operator's body in movement, so that you can run and do all kinds of weird, dangerous stuff, and the camera will not sense it, because the movement is taken out and the vibration is taken out in the arm. The machine itself has what's called a 3-axis gimbal, which is this little guy here. This thing permits the camera to tilt, permits the camera to pan, and also, unfortunately, to yaw. If anybody has ever seen any bad Steadicam, you can always tell this goes like this. You know, it's pretty sickening. In fact, there have been audiences who have gone to rush the bathrooms to throw up. Bad Steadicam is worse than bad handheld. It's the worst thing in the world. Because bad handheld, at least it looks like it's a news. It used to be news. But bad Steadicam is really, it's too weird. So, in any event, but good Steadicam, somebody who's good at operating this, and there aren't a whole lot of them around, is able to do shots with this machine that it is very, very hard to tell, that are very hard to tell from double shots. You can't shoot shots generally at 300 millimeters with real long lenses, but within a reasonable range of anywhere from a 9.8 to a 85, you can do shots that mimic a dolly very well. That's in terms of competitive cutting, for example. You have dolly shots and you have Steadicam. But that's not essentially what Steadicam is used for. What Steadicam is used for is to fill in an area that until the time of its invention had never been existent, which is an area between the raw, nitty-gritty handheld shooting and very smooth, with very clinical dolly shots, moving camera shots, done on dollies or frames. Now, since the invention of the Steadicam, you get into an arena where you have the energy and the vitality and the immediacy of and the suspense of a handheld camera with the elegance of a dolly, which means that it's smooth, it's not jerky, and yet at the same time you feel like you're a participant in the scene much more than you would if you were dolly. Now, obviously, there are certain situations where you don't want to feel that. That's why people use telephoto lenses. They want to get back and be like a surreptitious observer of some action taking place. There are other times, however, where you want to feel like you're right in there with whatever's going on. And to do that in an elegant way certainly is Steadicam is an instrument that's worthy of consideration. Any questions? Sorry. Good, great. Okay, you guys. All right. I guess I must be pretty articulate. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, if you'd like to see us put it on. Now, what I have here is a couple of different instruments. I have a video transmitter, which is this little guy sitting down here with the antenna pointing down. What's happening in film, what's happening in film more and more, we'll talk about this later, is that everything's going to robotics to a certain extent ways in the automobile industry. Fortunately, not to that extent, where you'll get robots making movies, but like they make cars. But there's a lot of people using remote heads, like the Lumen crane you're all familiar with that, and all the rest of those remote cranes. And they're using what to me is more interesting is they're using radio systems. That video transmitter permits me not to be hooked up to a monitor. I don't need a wire. This is focus control, iris control, zoom, camera on off, radio control, all the same. Okay. So that I can put this thing on, and I need no wires whatsoever attached to me to do a shot, which is wonderful, because the essence of the Steadicam is it provides almost unlimited freedom. And if you all of a sudden look like you're in intensive care with all of these wires coming out from you, all of a sudden are limited, restricted in terms of like you have to tell 4 people that you're going to move. Otherwise, you'll end up yanking them all out or something. Right? So he said, okay, is everybody ready? Raise your hand. You have a table in your hand. We're going to move. With these controls, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter. Because this thing will go probably a half mile and transfer probably in 40. The fact that it destroys everybody's television sets with the neighbors is another story. That always happens when you get the police complaining. The police will come, they're out some little area and say everybody's complaining about the fact that all their pictures are getting screwed up. What do you think people doing? I don't know, check with the sound department. I mean, the sound department, they're always in control. So, in any event, everything is done by radio control, which is absolutely wonderful. The only drawback to the Steadicam is it weighs an inordinate amount. It is very, at first when you put it on, it's very antagonistic to the system. You feel it all in your lower back. Most people that tried it on for years, when I first got into Steadicam, I kept hearing stories about the fact that Garrett's back was destroyed, he was on drugs, all the rest of that crap. And I kept saying, boy, is this what this does to you? And I realized finally, because none of that is true, I even heard the Steadicam killed somebody, which was true. Especially since I'm an investor. This guy in falling in love came up with script and said, hey, I just killed you. Right, that's what I'm thinking about. The thing about the Steadicam is this, is that it's so antagonistic when you first put it on, that generally the line I hear the most is, get this fucking thing off. That's the line. People try it on or hear about what it is, and they naturally assume that within 5 or 10 years of operating it, you're going to end up in what George Collin calls the St. Louis home with the Tory Bob. But that, in fact, is not true. Your back gets very strong. It's possible to hurt yourself. If you fall down with this, it's no joke. And I've had it happen a couple times. And it is possible to injure yourself, but if you're careful, I wear plastic knee pads all the time, so I can do my James Brown imitation for this, which I will show you later, if you have enough questions. And if you don't, we have other ways of dealing with it, which I'll show you as well. So, in any event, you can hurt yourself with this thing. You have to be in reasonably good shape. A lot of people think you have to be a monster. Obviously, I'm not. I'm not particularly strong. I do, however, do yoga and stretch out a lot, which is good since my spine is compressing every day. Undoubtedly, when I see you next year, I will be at least 4 inches shorter. So anyway, those are some of the liabilities of this thing in terms of the physical. What the assets of it, of course, are. It's a wonderful tool, as I say. It gives you a chance to be the center of attention. It's a great thing if you love performance arts, which I think. It'll definitely enhance the weight of your wallet, and it's possible to have an enormous amount of creative fun. It's one of the few tools. I mean, I don't know, I'll get into this later, but I don't know how many feature films you watch being shot, but they're not that interesting. I mean, the moments are rare, they're dreary. I mean, you get on a film that has 8 weeks of night shooting, and but the second day, you really don't want to be the second day. They're essentially, by the time they're ready to be shot, they're almost all done. Very more than any other single machine, or as a technician, you get a chance to operate the most difficult shots, the most interesting shots. You get a chance to design the most interesting shots, and it makes it quite fun. So that's one of the assets of operating this thing. There are more, as I look at my 8-page of notes, I will find it. All right, so what I'll do is put this thing on the other way. I eventually do have to use, and I'll show you via our transmitter system what this does briefly and what it looks like. Any questions? If somebody's got any questions, don't say them until the end because I won't answer. Thank you so much. What is your question? Did you have a question?
I wanted to, okay, you showed us that remote, you showed us the remote focus control on that. I see you have a viewer on there. If you're running with it and you're trying to keep your shot composed, how do you control the focus and moving way down and turning
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have done this one. I think that everybody's curious. First of all, there's no eyepiece on this thing. You don't look through an eyepiece with a Steadicam. Because if you were to look through the eyepiece, what would happen? You'd be jumping up and down running, and so would the camera because your eye was attached to the plane. So everything is done by video monitor. It's not just this guy right here. This is not a typical video monitor. It's a $7,000 Raytheon high-resolution green radar monitor. I can't believe I said it. And it's not as good as a Macintosh, what it's printed. And just checking if the CEO is into computers. How many people got computers? How many people got Macs? Oh man, I just got a full-page display. Okay, anyway, so much for tech. In any event, it's pretty good. The thing about this monitor is, and you see it as green, but what it will do is it permits you to look at a picture in bright sunlight outside, which no monitor will. The only ones that will are the ones in the 767. Has anybody seen the radar monitors today? They're pretty cool. Check them out if you're alive, because it's the best monitor going. But in any event, it permits you to watch outside in sunlight, and let's face it, most of the stuff with Steadicam is done outside in sunlight because there's not much work in tabletop photography and commercials. Thank God, which is one of the reasons I do it. All right, so here you see I've attached my suspended support arm here, which requires a certain amount of muscle just to get down. And that's the spring system right here, just like so. This is what the arm will do when you're running, but you notice it really doesn't get translated, it won't get translated to camera. To show you that, I'll actually have to put it on. Someday I'm going to figure out a way to demo it just so they are putting it on. Okay, now, the 3-axis gimbal that I was pretty awesome. I forget how cool this thing looks. I wish somebody was really good at it. It's really a sexy routine. Just checking the balance. Sometimes you put this on and it works great. Other times you put it on and it pisses off the person. Okay. The 3-axis gimbal I was talking about. You see the arm. Okay, this is the arm. 3-axis gimbal permits you to pan. Permits you to pan. Like so. Almost 360 degrees. In fact, 360 degrees. It permits this, which actually, in fact, I rarely use. I looked on a film a couple of weeks ago with Adrian Lyon, and we did a shot where I did a graduated turn, somebody coming in and going up like this, which you could only do with 2 roll heads. It's quite sexy, but generally you don't use that. And also, I just did a new opening for Letterman Show, which is very high-speed bank turns through apartments and offices and things, which you'll see in a month, which has the ability, in which we did a bank turn, so when you go around the turn, you actually look like this, which is wonderful. There's really no other way of doing it. Very hard. So, take the piece of it. Yeah. The other thing is you can tilt, just balance correctly. So you actually are able to, you can shoot a shot like this all day, not if you want to. Another shot which is excellent, which I haven't been asked to use, which the Steadicam is excellent for, is this one. Let's hear it. God, I love that sound. Let's kill the light on the phone. Can we do that, or is that a major deal? If you have a wrench, you can just fling it at the phone. Is that a hassle to take?
Somebody back there?
How can you guys see here? Are you seeing okay? Okay, now what we'll ask Dave to do, see whether he's qualified or not. And that's the radio focus. You're not going to be able to see that radio focus actually go. Okay, you see a little bit of glitching in this. But here's the deal. Here. Well, actually, it wasn't a request for applause, just like foolish isn't that fun? So anyway, that's essentially it. You see the fact that you don't see that. Now, normally you wouldn't want to do that. I mean, there's no reason to have no hands on this thing, because if it gets away from you, it's a messy deal to get it back in the car. Because what happens with this is that it's perfectly balanced, but if you move in any particular way, like lean back or lean forward, it's hard for me to do because I'm pretty much used to this thing now. But if you move back or forward or whatever, I'll move back if I want to go back. Move forward, I want to go forward. I move my hips right, I want to go right, hips left. Now, I pretty much can get in control of it, but if you put this on for the first time and let it go like this, it might either drag you into the next zip code or or to knock your face off. Because it is, it's like an object in space. Once it gets going, it wants to keep on going. It doesn't care what you look like, anything else. So, in any event, it has its own personality, and the personality is very arbitrary. And but when you get it under control, it's great. It's like having a dance player. So in any event, you can do shots. You can do running shots, which I'm not going to do. Or you can do very, very slow shots. You can barely see moving. You see all the people down the aisle moving. And it's very hard to tell it from a dog shot. The shot, the shot, you can also go through very tight spaces, which is what one of the great things about this. Okay? So anyway, the other thing is that you can flip it over, the whole thing over, in what we call the low move. You flip the whole device over, and you flip the camera over, and all of a sudden the camera's down here, right side up. The sled is up here like this, so that you can do a shot where the lens is indeed down here. Which is how it's we're going to film Paul Wolf and how the Wolf's point of view is going. So it's an enormously versatile machine. You can use lenses for anything from the very wide. This is a 32. You can use generally hand in 35 up to about 85. I personally love most Steadicam operators won't work with long lenses because it's harder. Like handheld with long lenses is harder. I personally love them because there's something about having a long lens and tracking and having things go by in the center and stuff that I absolutely adore. And having a picture a little flatter. Wide angles, it's not that hard to operate. But the thing about wide angles with the Steadicam is to watch the movement through space is very exciting, especially when you're going through things that are that thin. Very exciting thing to see. And that's why when you do rock videos and stuff, you always put on wide angles and we're rushing around on things. Because let's face it, nothing's really going on. So anyway, that's the Steadicam. Do we have any questions before I decide to take it off forever? Dave, yes.
I asked you about gyro tunes.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll do that. Next question. Yes. Yes.
The actual camera, is that a special camera that's being used for that, or is this?
Yes and no. It's an Arri 3, but what I've done on it is I've taken off the video camera, or I've taken off the viewfinder and had it modified, and just has a video camera. That's all it has. It's built to the H36. Had high and low mode brackets put on, and long throat slant back magnets, because you can't use regular magnets to have it balanced. The film has to travel this way, not this way, because otherwise you can start to unbalance when you shot like that. And it has the motors resident on it. They just stay there all the time. We'll focus on ours. So in that sense, it is unique. Someone else in front of you. Sure.
What do you do about camera?
About camera noise? Yeah. I don't use this for sync, unfortunately, but I also have an enormous amount of money now, 35 ads on the camera. And it's saved my career for another 10 years at that age. Yeah.
How's it vary from
How is it vary from Panaglide? Panaglide, first of all, you can't buy, therefore you can't rent. So my rate goes down. But the Panaglide is a dedicated system. It's only dedicated to its own lightweight Panaglide. It's beautiful camera. Beautiful. Weighs almost nothing, and it's a sound camera. It has its own system. The only drawback of the Panaglide is that the gimbal is not very good, and the monitor is it's very hard to see. Very hard to see. Other than that, it's light. It's carbon fiber post, plastic castings. Beautiful machine. Like everything Panaglide does when you see the pattern. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. So that's the difference. You can also put a lightweight Panaflex on this. 35 BL3, 35 BL2. 3 is very heavy. BL2, video camera, Steadicam. The Steadicam will take all the video cameras. All you have to do is figure out a way to get video out of it. The video camera is obvious. And adapters so you can go manual. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Is this similar products like that?
Yes, sir. Similar products makes the Steadicam.
And
No, Panaglide's made by... We'll practice that later so everybody can say it perfectly and record it and send it to John and we'll come. Yeah. IA assistants, I also work occasionally with native assistants. All of them are very high.
How many private Steadicam
Private? I mean, you don't talk for audience. You mean owners?
basically?
There are probably about, in the world, probably about 350 Steadicams that have been sold. In terms of really good operators in the world, there are probably 15. Yeah. boy, that's a tough question. You know, I teach, and Garrett teaches this Steadicam course in Maine, in Ojai, California. And that's hard. How much money you got to spend? That's the big question. I mean, the first thing is the course with expenses costs about $1,000. For 5 days. It's a great course, the best one they get. Hands-on, a lot of machines, a lot of time, good teachers. And it's cool and a lot of fun. Yeah, great fun. I mean, it's great just to go, just because it's the greatest vacation you'll ever have. I mean, really, it's worth your asking. It's a wonderful place to be. Rockport is something great. The problem is, if you want to be a Steadicam operator for a living, and I might as well get through this now, is that it, first of all, that it's not used as much as you would think. Because films are shot in very conservative ways. It's a very, filmmaking is a very primitive industry. I don't know if you've ever worked with a 300-pound dolly and 300 pounds of track, but it's very primitive. It's union dedicated, and it's not, the film industry doesn't change quickly. It's very, very hard for it to be receptive to new technology. And it's, in terms of film survival, it's idiotic, but that's the way it is. So that to answer your question, Steadicam is not used as much as it should be, as one would think, because not only is it very versatile, it's very fast, and it's very cost effective. Steadicam operator will cost a lot, but the amount you can do with Steadicam in one day, comparable to what you can do with dolly, is probably 5 times. And so it's great for low budget films. People are very resistant to Steadicam change. So there's not a lot of work for people, the Steadicam operators. There's also in the country about 10 that have real good names. And they generally tend to get the roles for the films, for the big films, which is what most people want to do. I personally like low budget films a lot better, but they get the call for a lot of the big jobs. And so to make a career out of Steadicam is difficult. You have to get a name for yourself, which is one of the reasons I spend so much time advertising. You have to spend a minimum of probably $40,000. I've spent $180 on equipment, and probably $50 on advertising. So anyway, it's serious business. On the other hand, it is really fun to do, and I don't even try to dissuade all of you from doing it as a craft. It is because I'm in it. I mean, I think it's cool. So anyway, there are assets and liabilities about it. You have to take it very seriously. You can't just do it and then decide you're going to fill yourself as a DP and a lot of other things too. But talk about in terms of months. No, I don't know. It depends on how light the cameras get. You know, I unfortunately hate BLs. I mean, 35 BLs are killers. I don't want to show it. They're humping around plus all this crap's hard. And I don't know. It's mainly a question of whether I lose interest in it. I do other things. I write comedy, not scripts. I write comedy and stuff, and I'm interested in a lot of different things. And if any one of those other things that I do I was able to make a living at it, a reasonable living at it, which you of course can't even write, but I would probably get out of doing Steadicam. Not because I'm disenchanted with it, but only because I found something that was more fun. For me, it's just I never really grew up. That's my problem. Whatever is most fun, that's what I'll do. And right now, Steadicam is fun and I'm doing it, but ultimately, it's not. There's going to be a point at which you do too many repetitions of the same shot, the same bullshit every time. And stepping up and taking down, or I'll physically get turned. It's very important. So in that sense, my time is probably limited. But whatever gets dark, that's the thing. What was your question? Because it's
I want to know to what degree those directors allow you to have creative control and what control to design.
That's really an interesting question. I actually wouldn't have it in my 8-page outline. How can I start this? Films, the process of making films on set, especially big films, is exceedingly sexualized and specialized. You get someone that shows up with the 70mm background camera, plate to make plates. You have the first and second assistants. You have the first unit operator, second unit DP perhaps, second unit director, first AD, second AD, production manager, blah, blah, blah. Very sectionalized. Everybody has their job on the set. You don't take other people's jobs. I'm one of those people that love to take other people's jobs because I love more than one thing. I'm interested in art because I went to art school, and I love to draw. So I tend to try to broaden out. I want to participate, and I think you all will be very empathetic to this. I want to participate on films to my fullest, to the fullest of my talent. Now, when you're in school and you're making films, you can do that, because if you're standing out on the street with 3 or 4 of you, the way I've seen a lot of them, you can be, let's say, the script person, continuity person for the day, but you can also say to the director, I think we ought to do it this way. And they'll go, oh yeah, well maybe that's a good idea. Or they may go, shut up, I'll direct it. Ring a bell. But you have the opportunity to do that. If you're working on a $30 million film and you're the loader, you can't walk out of the camera truck down the steps, come up to the director and say, I just read the script and that line sucks. You know, you can't do those kind of things, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden you find yourself unemployable. Not unemployed, but unemployable. So, in any event, that's the thing about big films. Now, the thing about small, low-budget films, which I'm getting to absolutely adore, mainly because I've become such a hero on them, is that they'll listen to me. It's as simple as that. And if I'm doing a shot and somebody has a better idea, I'd love to hear it, because I'm interested in making the best film that's possible to be made, and I think that all of you will agree with me. If a director has a shot that I don't like, I'll tell the director I don't like the shot, it should be changed. I won't say the shot sucks, but what I'll say is, look, what about if we did this and this and this? The larger the film you work on, the more dicey it is to make those kind of suggestions to people. Because if somebody's directing a $30 million film, they've had to probably eat a lot of crow to get there, right? And they don't want a Steadicam operator telling them their job. I mean, that's sort of a cynical way of looking at it, and in a way they're justified. To try to make a big film in this industry is a life's work. There are thousands of people in California hanging around swimming pools, waiting for the payphone, the other pool to ring, waiting for their deal to get through. You know, and there's great stories about this stuff. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. I had a friend, Gene Finley, who was an editor, sound editor in Northern California, who sent some scripts to LA, and a couple months later he gets a call, and this producer, who's some real heavy, says, listen, I love your script. I want to produce it. It's incredible. And Gene says, great, oh, that sounds wonderful. And the guy says, I love the scene with the gorilla. And Gene goes, what? Scene with the gorilla. I said, oh, didn't you write so-and-so? And Gene says, no, I didn't. I said, sorry. The other one is, a friend of my brother's is waiting for 5 years to get into it. I'm only in the producer's office with a deal. Waiting for 5 years to get into his office, to return the call and get his office, and he finally gets into his office. And the film is about, based on the work of Bob Seger, the singer, right? And the producer gets on the phone, and the guy's sitting in his office, taking 5 years to get there, and the guy's sitting in his office, waiting for this producer to make the call that will basically cinch the deal. And the producer gets on the phone and says, listen, I got a guy in my office here that's got a film based on the music of Pete Seeger. End of deal, right? 5 years down the drain, right? Now that sounds horrible. I mean, those are just some stories, but both those stories happen. I mean, it can take forever to make these films. So anyway, to get back to what I was talking about, thank God if you have that kind of struggle in your life to make your movie, a lot of people are not sympathetic to people offering them suggestions. They lived with this project for maybe 5 or 10 years, or 2 at the least, and they really don't want to know about it. They pretty much think they have a handle on it, and most of the time they do. Now, on smaller pictures, where people have less experience, they're more receptive to ideas of people that have had a lot of experience in the industry. I'm one of those people. I've been in it for 20 years. And I've went through the golden age of documentaries, the Wonder Bread years of Woodstock and all this stuff, and worked on that, and a lot of television documentaries. I've been in it a long time. I've seen a lot of things. And I'm very, very interested in making movies. I love the form of making movies. I generally don't go to Washington, don't watch TV. But I do love the concept of how you shoot something, which is answering the question, about how you design a sequence to be the most definitive visual statement on whatever the theatrical event is before it. So with this enthusiasm, which actually borders on frenzy and insanity a lot of the time, of which I'm not unknown for, I have the ability to contribute to people on their projects a lot. And the people that let me do it are the people that I want to work with. And that the directors to me, one of the best qualities of a director is, and one director, Malcolm Clark, said this basically, is that he said, what I do is I see where people are talented and I let them do what they want to do. And I let them function in the area that they really want to function in, the one that they most want. If you can take everybody's resources that are around you and utilize them without being threatened, right, then you can really make a great film. It still is your film. In fact, if there's a wonderful idea that's not yours in it,
films aren't individual works. It's not like a painter. It's not like somebody writing a novel. It's like a group effort. It's very, very different. For all the assets and liabilities of it, that's what films are. You know, as much as you want them to be your own original conception and execution and everything else you can't possibly do. You can't do your own sound, you can't shoot yourself, read the light meter, write it. You can't do all these things on a film, generally, especially if you get beyond a budget of like $75. So the kind of films that I love, in general, getting involved with low-budget films because I can really participate in them, and it's a wonderful experience because you're right there making the movie at the moment, right? It's absolutely happening, and that to me is what the rush of filmmaking is. It's not just framing up somebody else's shot. Being a camera operator is not a glamorous job. It's not a glamorous job. Being a DP is not a glamorous job a lot of the time. I've worked with a lot of very heavy DPs, world-known DPs, that are very frustrated with their job because it's not their film. They're just going through the motions, and especially if you get into TV movies, they're just cranking these things out. It's like a factory. They like making cars. That's the more negative side of the industry. There's a lot of other positive sides, which is there's no other industry except for film in which you get a chance to be around so many incredibly talented people and to be around so many artists in their own particular ways, even if it's a focus puller or a grip. I've seen grips that were so wonderful what they did that I wanted to quit being a cameraman to be a grip and rig cars and do stuff like that and work with all these wonderful materials and build things. Not like commercials, you can't optically reposition. That is it. You have to have the headroom perfectly all the time. It's got to be nailed. Motherfucker. Yeah.
Just wondering, what's the large assembly at the very bottom of the phone?
That's the electronics to drive this Raytheon monitor. This stuff. It also acts as a counterbalance. Then back here is the battery.
That's the battery for the entire system?
Yeah. They only last about 10 minutes or so, but I have a charger that charges them from dead low in 15 minutes. Plus $4,500. So that's what that. But it also acts as a counterbalance. Okay. One more.
Yeah, I've heard there's some young Steadicam operators who work for students. Do you know anybody like that, or how to get in touch with them?
I don't see any here. I can give you the names of a couple of people who might do it. Okay, let's move on. I have some tapes. How are we doing for time? Is everybody happy? Everybody can test? I'll give you a break from you won't get a break from my voice. You only get a break from my current image. David, my love. All right, here's what I have to show. I have some commercials that are on my reel, which are, I don't know how you feel about commercials. You all think commercials are nowhere? Yeah. If you think commercials are nowhere, let me tell you something. I got twin brothers making $700 grand a year doing commercials. It does more creative work than anybody I know. And commercials are, everybody wants to do films, but unless you're making films like Platoon, most of the films that are made, 99% of the ones you see in that yearly variety, there's these like things you've never heard of that they send to India. They're not heavy films, right? Commercials are where you learn the craft. Commercials are wonderful. Some of the greatest talent in the world is in commercials. The best DPs in the world do commercials as well. Some of the best directors do commercials. Henry Lyon was a commercial director. Great. Ridley Scott has done the best commercials ever been on television, right? And he's done some wonderful films too, like Labour. So don't sneeze at commercials because commercials are the most incredible place to learn the craft in commercials. Genius stuff they do in commercials. And it may be only for a product and everything else, but take a look at some commercials and you'll see the level of art is better than almost any filmmaker. So don't discount commercials. Now, I'm not saying that my reel is important as a really important film, but the one reason I bring the commercials to look at is because in 6 minutes it gives you a chance to see at least six applications of the Steadicam. Whereas I could show you a film that would take 2 hours and you might only see 2 applications of the Steadicam. Okay? So I have commercials to show. I also have some stuff from Bad Boys and Risky Business. And I don't have much more of the current stuff. I've worked on over 85 films, and I don't have the stuff because I just don't have the energy to start, renting the stuff from stores and going up to the video transfer place and spending money at the time. So it's a little older, but some of the shots are good from those, and it's just Steadicam shots. It's not the movie in general. And then I have a piece that I did on what it's like to be on a set, on a feature set, which I think you all have to see. And then I have one other thing. Some of it is fun and funny, and some of it's serious. I'm going to show you let me show you the commercials first, okay? Let's do the commercials first. To give you an idea about how the Steadicam is used. I have a lot of stuff I think you might be interested in, but I don't want to go over my time. And I have answered a lot of questions. So what we'll do is we'll look at these first. These are about 6 or 7 commercials. And you'll see that some of the shots are quite cool. Some of them are some mundane, but it gives you an idea about, and commercials are 1/2 of my income. That's 1/2 of my livelihood. So it shows you how they're used. Okay, is the sound ready? You think we can kill the bay lights and all this stuff here? Is anybody on this?
A brilliant career dress. For him, the Gentry collection. Very elegant. This year's all newcomers. But the biggest fashion news of all is that every person on board is wearing the fashion from your JCPenney catalog. The JCPenney catalog. Something unexpected at every turn.
It's one of the things that's funny. You surprise people. You know, they think it's just a dolly shot instead of a Zippo, you know? What's the channel? We lost sound again, David. No. Is it? Just hit the other channel and see how the other channel.
Check the connections. Connections might.
No, I have a feeling it's only one. Is there another channel on that?
For 90 years, they've held the best investment is to sit down one-to-one with a knowledgeable person you can trust and work out a long-term financial plan. An IDS American Express planner can sit down with you even at home to size up your goals like saving on taxes, educating your kids, retirement, develop a prudent plan to reach them, then help put it into action. It's a chance to prosper without going bust. Sit down with an IDS American Express planner. It could be the best investment you'll ever make.
That's pretty mundane, but I love the music.
Imagine yourself alone, and then it happens. Just been bitten by the wolf, a big bad wolf, and you lie coming to life at Bushka.
Very fun to do.
Commercial, this is a playthrough. And I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm a believer. Because this isn't just a snack, it's nacho cheese Doritos. And it's not just nacho cheese, it's 3 kinds of cheese. And it's not just 3 kinds of cheese, it's corn, tomato, onions, and spices. And it's not just corn, tomato, onions, and spices. It's my favorite. And it's not just my favorite, it's the whole country's favorite. Because it's not just a snack, it's Doritos. And this isn't just the end of my Doritos, this is the end of my commercial.
Could have been done with a dolly, but it has a certain presence. I want the move to go like this, which means the crane actually has to be moving when you get on it. Very tricky. Anyway, here's the tape. Can we kill the house lights?
Welcome to the wonderful world of movie making. This is a feature set. This is everything you've already dreamed of. The place you dreamed of being. And now, as a Steadicam operator, you're actually able to do this. As a Steadicam operator, you can fly into these sets at any time, be called up to do spectacular shots, make oodles of money, doing it on sets like this. Meet interesting people, people that are into their craft, people that are artists, that are technicians. Be able to play with big toys like his arc here, these gentlemen are doing right here. Be able to climb ladders, work with HMI balance, work with television equipment, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big payoff. You two can work with these kinds of machines. Look at this stuff, it's beautiful. Hi. One of the things that you want to do after you get your football set up is to have yourself some coffee, and once you know you're ready to go, you don't need to worry about that anymore, and you can pursue what really actually you're on the set to pursue, which is looking at the extras. Sometimes your wife is among them. Getting yourself some coffee from the catering truck, which is this here. Hi, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
What they do on the set. Interviewing people.
I eat a lot of donuts, and I've talked to a lot of people, and sometimes I get straps on my shoulders to get over the line, so I don't get strapped, you know.
people about what they do. Please, don't leave me. Don't leave me.
I could never find another one like you.
Like a skinny old guy like me.
I don't know. I'm very free time.
Right here. So I just go on from movie to movie, just waiting for Ms. Right from wrong, waiting to find in the sea of extras my future wife, being continually disappointed in making a couple of grand a day instead. This is my assistant, William. William Clevenger. Bill, how you doing? Good. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Good. What does it mean for you to be a Steadicam assistant? I mean, what is the difference between that and being a normal, regular assistant for the real camera?
You don't work as much.
You don't work as much. That's the first thing. Yeah. And what about when you do work?
You don't know as much.
You don't know as much? That's scary.
We're in trouble.
Is it over? It's going to be okay. And we're going to be
We're doing a lot.
what are you doing inside?
I'm a craft service man. Glass, water, board take, napkin take. Sometimes I make sure the shoes are tied before a shot. I make sure the guys get donuts and oranges.
That's really good. So you're really an important part of this production.
I'm probably they couldn't do it without me.
Yeah, because what would happen? They'd starve?
Well, people would have cigarettes and have matches.
Yeah.
Cigarettes. You get temperamental actors, you get temperamental directors. People would not have a cup of coffee in the morning. And you got to make sure that the psychological part of this action and creative people are, locked in. And then I play a part of the role of keeping these people happy.
Yeah, well, that's very important because we talk to a lot of people. They don't really.
This water is good.
This is 3-wire.